So Hopes and Expectations, this one here, is the third book in the Eastwood Story series of novellas. And those stories are set in a fictional town called Eastwood Minster, hence the title of the series. The first story, which was this one called Looking to Move On, introduced Matt West, who is one of the central characters throughout the whole series, really. Now, that first story tells how, as a result of a car accident, he is now using a wheelchair. He's quite significantly disabled. And it was an event which also led to the loss of his wife, Jo. And the story explores how he went through the early stages of his recovery, dealing with kind of the grief and bereavement, but his ongoing life with Tilly, who was their young daughter, the support that he received from others. So among other characters, the story also introduced us to Sophie Howlett, a community nurse who supported Matt. And as time goes on, their friendship continues without even to spoil the story if you've not read it. Love grows, and the book ends on the weekend of their wedding. So a very happy ending. The second book, Living the Difference, and some of you joined me on the book launch of this about 15 months ago, starts on that same weekend that Matt and Sophie got married. So Matt, Sophie and Tilly are still very much in the story, but I shifted the focus a little bit onto some other characters who'd appeared more briefly in that first book, and introduced some others as well, one or two who will feature in the new one. So hopefully you've noticed a similarity in the titles: Looking to Move On, Living the Difference, and now Hopes and Expectations. So there's stories really of hope over adversity. That's always been the aim, really, and so with happy endings. And they're written partly with readers in mind about how best they, perhaps you, can relate our life experiences. And I think sometimes it's helpful to kind of reflect on our own lives in relation to fiction. And of course, poets and novelists have been doing that for years. And it's very much part of literature, both in our country and elsewhere. So in Hopes and Expectations, we continued the story of Matt, Sophie, and both now in their early 30s, and Tilly, who turned 6 in this new story. A couple of old adversaries resurface, the school bully Robert Jordan being one of them, and we'll meet him shortly. And then Eastwood Minster, it's a market town, it's a fictitious market town, and it kind of hums with other dramas, really. Liz James and Alice Nichols, who featured particularly in the second book, hope really that the town will just curb their gossiping a bit, although they know that it probably won't. And then we have former college students Tracy and Jack. Again, they were mentioned in the second book, are navigating heartbreak, an uncertain future. And then Will Taylor finds that his world is unexpectedly set alight, but more about him later on. And amid all that, young Tilly dreams of football and of playing for England. That's what she wants to do. For those of you who've read the previous books, I know there are 2 or 3 of us among the group here tonight, you'll also probably learn something about Matt which you hadn't realised before. So it wasn't as explicit in the previous stories. Although written as a series, they can be read independently. There is enough in each one to give you the relevant backstories, but obviously I prefer you to buy all 3, of course, so, but we'll go on from there. Right, let us turn to, oh, actually, no, I must mention a quick bit here. The second book, so this one, Living the Difference, ends with the news that Sophie and Matt are expecting. So we join them now in their flat as Matt's parents, I'm going to read now from the book, Matt's parents, Des and Jan, pay them a visit.
Twins?
Janice West's exclamation rang out as she hugged her daughter-in-law. Glory be. Has to be said that wasn't our reaction, Mum, her son replied, passing a hanky to his wife as his parents came into the flat. You two certainly going to have your hands full, Matt's dad added, wiping his feet on the doormat. Sensitive as ever, Desmond, replied Janice with a wry smile. Perhaps I best go make cups of tea, her husband responded, withdrawing gracefully to the kitchen. Perhaps you best, dear. Don't forget the sugar, she added with a shake of her head. 35 years of marriage had taught Janice West to tolerate her husband's foibles and ways with words. The same was true vice versa, of course. You can count on me to be at the hospital, announced Des, returning with the sugar. Jan let out a loud laugh. What, you mean like when you fainted and spent Matt's arrival on the floor? I was there all the same, I was there. Des struggled to defend himself, laughing as he did so. Tea? Jan inquired with questioning eyebrows. Her husband retreated to collect the absent beverages. Having dried her tears, Sophie West returned the dampened hanky to her husband. The breaking news from the morning's 12-week scan was still producing headlines. Sorry, it was such a shock, the 30-year-old mum-to-be said. We're delighted, obviously, and it'll be lovely for Tilly to have siblings, but 1 to 3, calculated Matt. I mean, there'll be all sorts of practicalities. The flat, feeding, clothes, and we can deal all that, Sophie observed pragmatically. But she took back the hanky. What's really upsetting is my dad. My dad will never meet them. You know, like he's never met Matt, or you two, or Tilly. Or we him, added Jan. Nearly 3 years had passed since Sophie's dad died. Cared for mainly in his final months by her older sister Rosie, he'd been ill for some time. Their mum deserted all of them when Sophie was just 2 and had never been seen or heard of since. It's all Rosie's fault, Sophie said with a laugh, trying to lighten the conversation. Ah, yes, of course. Twins in the family, Jan commented, remembering the children from Matt and Sophie's wedding day. I'm sure she'll offer you some good hints and tips, though. Yeah, she's good on practicalities, replied Sophie. She's got a boy and a girl, so there'll be some hand-me-downs, whichever way it goes. Not dressing them the same, though, added Matt with a smile. Could they tell what stage they were at? Asked Jan, the former social worker, returning to type for a moment. They reckon they're in 2 separate placentas, replied the community nurse, similarly back in role. Maybe identical or maybe not. We'll know a bit more in the next scan in a few weeks' time. It's just a shock. We walked in, I got on the couch, pulled up my top, and the sonographer simply announced, so it's twins then. As if she'd discovered an unexpected item in the packing area. I like that line. Neither of us knew what to say. I just burst into tears. Whether that was fear, happiness, shock, I have no idea. Wouldn't have been so bad if she hadn't been so miserable about it. Jan provided a second shake of her head. Do you want to show them the photos? Matt prompted. Oh, yes, Sophie replied, gradually recovering with the help of the tea and some sugar. Here you are. Look, they're so clear. The grainy black and white images showed 2 lives had begun, getting to know each other in the warmth and safety of the womb. That one's got my nose, Des observed. Got your stomach, more like, his wife replied. They both laughed. They both looked. They were looks of love. 2, Des said quietly, his emotions changing, his face happy and serious at the same time. A tear or maybe 3 left his eyes, finding a home in his greying beard. You set me off now. Jan reached for the hanky Matt held out for her. And I'd particularly like to welcome Richard Skinner, who's an Exeter-based poet, novelist and performer, formerly of Cambridge Footlights Review some years ago. And
Many
Richard, I won't say how many, Richard, I won't say. We've been involved in a few things together, like open mics here in Exeter and or down in Exeter. And he actually joined me on the book launch that we had in Exeter on Friday, just gone. So Richard's the author of several books, and he'll mention those, and I'll mention them again at the
Thank
end.
you, Richard. Thank you for inviting me to take part in this Zoom aspect of your launches. And thank you, everybody who's logged on. Good to see you all. And where I used to live, I managed to create a little wildlife pond, a very little wildlife pond, but it was pretty successful in that tadpoles, frogs made their way there, newts made their way there, and so did one or two other species. And one in particular took my attention. And this is called Between Worlds. A patch of slender reeds. Partway up one blade, a bug, unprepossessing brown, misshapen thumbnail size, inhabitant, till now, of pond sludge. In the fabric of its back, a split, from which extrudes an elongated mass, a squeeze of greenish yellow from an oil painter's tube. Unrecognizable at first, a twitch betrays identity. Nascent dragonfly, gauze wings still pressed to resurrection body. She dangles like an escapologist in mid-maneuver. The realm of water has relinquished her. Air has yet to claim her. The dragonfly is resting on the husk of former self. She spread her wings to dry. Suddenly is gone. The 6 legs of the husk still clasp the reed tenaciously. Well, as well as poetry, I also, like Richard F., write fiction. I've always had a problem about dialogue, what verbs to use to indicate speech. I used to play safe and use only said, which means that passages of dialogue were punctuated with he said, she said, he said, she said, which is nice and clear, but not very adventurous. So I switched to using a range of elaborate words to indicate speech, but this came across inevitably as very pretentious. So I'm now trying to make sure I use only verbs of speech which best match the content of what is being spoken. I call these appropriate verbs of speech, and I'm drawing up a list of examples to help me in this endeavor. I'd like to share some of these appropriate verbs of speech with you. It's a lorry, the long distance driver articulated. Should I or shouldn't I remove the worm from the hook? The angler debated. Yes, that's the fruit of a horse chestnut tree, William concurred. That was an echo, Narcissus recalled. Can I go on yet another mystical journey to face dangers, fight dragons and win through? The would-be hero requested. Now, this is what you do. This is what happens to butter. Okay, this is what happens to butter when you heat it. Nigella clarified. That's a fir tree, the woodman opined. I must check all these exam answers, the teacher remarked. I'm all in favour of exams, she protested. I'm afraid it's no longer an aircraft, the Concorde designer explained. Why can't I simply be a bottle of red? Dom Perignon whined. We have 2 flagons of aromatic resin to anoint a dead body, the wise men from the East murmured. The Blessed Virgin Mary must have gone up to heaven, the Pope assumed. I used to be a trainee monk, the heretic expostulated. Ecstasy, ecstasy, I'm in ecstasy, the nightclub frequenter raved. And to finish, you really are a complete and utter ape. David Attenborough harangued a tanned resident of Borneo. Thank you. I've given Richard complete permission to use any of those, provided he puts the little C in my name afterwards.
That's the one. Thank you, Richard. Thank you ever so much for taking part, and both today and on Friday.
My pleasure.
At the end, I shall give you Richard's website address so you can get in touch with him and buy his books as well.
Even better.
One of the new things in this particular book is there is now a map of Eastwood Minster. And one of the new things that has come into this story is Young's Cafe. Matt West manoeuvred himself beside an empty table at Young's Cafe. Transferring himself to the long cushioned bench, he spotted a familiar-looking face on the other side. He thought he'd seen her around town, but she was dressed differently, so he wasn't sure. A smile was exchanged nonetheless. The second scan had gone well. No problems spotted in mother or babies. Staff were kinder too. Matt held the latest images in his hand. He could see the changes. His eyes welled up, and he wiped them with the side of an index finger. Suddenly, the cafe door opened with a crash, raising the eyes of other customers. "What are you all staring about? It's only the wind," shouted the new arrival as he staggered towards the counter, knocking a chair away from its table. "Double espresso, double choc cookie, make that 2. He barked at the young barista. His contactless card made contact, and he walked away. "Bring it to me," he added. Matt looked up. The voice seemed familiar, and he didn't like the sound of it. Their eyes met. "Well, well, look who it isn't," the voice said. "Long time no see, black boy." "Robert Jordan, what are you doing here?" "It's Robbie now, Matthew," he responded with an air of attempted superiority. "Come down from the city. Strictly business, of course. You wouldn't find me living in this godforsaken place." Matt wondered what kind of business it was. The black soft-shell jacket and Security Industry Association badge on the wearer's left arm answered his unspoken question. With hands heavily tattooed, as no doubt were other parts of his anatomy, Jordan's upper body showed the fruits of many hours in the gym, and his balloon-shaped stomach that of similar time in the pub. A skinhead at school, Matt wondered if his hair had ever been given permission to grow in the intervening years. "So you're not going to stand up and shake my hand then, like a man?" the visitor chimed. The barista looked on and signalled to a colleague to fetch the manager. "Probably not, Robbie." Matt nodded in the direction of his wheelchair. "I'll shake your hand, though." "Oh, how the mighty have fallen," came the scornful reply, pushing his face closer. The smell of alcohol lingered in the inches between them. "So now you're a cripple and a..." "Everything all right, Matt?" Sophie's return to the table was timely. "Oh, who's this then? Aren't you going to introduce me to your lovely-looking friend here?" His eyes scanned Sophie from the chest down. "Nice." "Sophie, this is Robert. Robbie Jordan. We knew each other at school." "Sophie, eh? Oh, and look at these baby pics." He reached out, Matt put his hand over them. "And who's the lucky man who got you then, Sophie?" She retreated a couple of paces and sat down next to Matt, the table now safely between them and their unwelcome company. "Sophie is my wife, Robert." He made no correction this time. "Your wife?" the visitor replied, not knowing whether to add a question or an exclamation mark. "And you're the dad, are you?" he sneered with a laugh. I think we may need to ask you to leave, sir, the manager interjected. It's okay, Will, thanks, said Matt. This gentleman and I were at school together. It's been a long time, hasn't it, Robert? And you've not changed a bit. Oh, gentleman, Jordan mocked. Not changed a bit, he added, unaware of the subtlety of Matt's put down. Always were a posh one. Oxford University, leaving us common boys behind to work for a living. You got me expelled, Matthew West, telling tales, running to the teachers like a wimp. And as I said, it's Robbie. Out of the corner of her eye, Sophie saw the woman in the corner get up as Robert Jordan grabbed Matt's wheelchair and pushed it away. Try getting in it now, they knew. But before he could finish his newest insult, the assailant felt a hand gripping the inside of his right elbow. He turned, left arm raised, fist clenched. What the... Oh! An expletive was not deleted as he found himself looking at a passport-sized photograph held by a black leather holder. Police, sir. Come with me and we'll talk about this all more calmly, shall we? It was a command, not a question. Off-duty PC Rebecca Hutchins led Robert Jordan away to another table, reached for her mobile and called for her assistance. She'd only come in for a cappuccino and a brownie. You all right, Matt? The manager asked as he pushed the wheelchair back to its rightful owner. I will be, thanks, Will. Shaken but not too stirred. Bit of a surprise to see him here, though. As I said, he hasn't changed. You okay, Soph? He took her hand. Sophie laughed. Thought for a moment I'd been needing the control and restraint training. Bit like EastEnders, wasn't it? They sat, watched and listened as Robert Jordan's details were recorded. Expelled for far more misdemeanours than had been bellowed in Matt's direction, he was now living in London. The former school bully had been in Eastwood Minster for a personal protection job, an irony not lost on the police officer. Matt and Sophie could hear him explaining how he'd been sacked that morning because the principal, the person he was supposed to be protecting, got pelted with eggs by demonstrators. Jordan ducked when he should have stood. Didn't want to get my brand new coat jacket dirty, did I? He explained. He told PC Hutchins how he'd seen Matt's books in the windows of Waterstones, explaining they had unfinished business, although he couldn't remember what it was. But he hadn't expected to see him in the cafe. I mean, honestly, it was meant to be, wasn't it? He said, in an unusual statement for the defence. As a police car pulled up outside, PC Hutchins stood calling out to the cafe's remaining customers. I'll be back in a few minutes, so I'll need your details as witnesses. She turned to her captive. Into the car, Mr. Jordan. After its close encounter with the now departing customer, the cafe's damaged door had difficulty in seeing him off the premises. Her brown hair tied back, neatly held in place by the dark blue baseball cap adorned with the cafe's logo, the young barista started clearing tables, her hands shaking. That wasn't nice, was it? Sophie consoled her. Thanks for alerting Will, though. That was really helpful. The girl nodded. Never seen anything like that before. I was really scared. I didn't know what was going to happen next. Yeah, makes the stomach turn, doesn't it? Sophie glanced at the name badge on her matching blue top. Tracy, it's okay now. He won't be back. She looked over to Will and raised her hand in a drink pose. Do you want to come and sit with us for a moment? What can I get you? Tracy looked to her manager for reassurance. Hot chocolate with everything, please. So you'll hear more about Tracy, quite a bit, more about Robert Jordan, and about the door of the cafe.
Nice episode, Richard. Very nice episode.
Yeah, nice. Very nice.
Thank you.
You're very descriptive, the way you write, Richard. It's really good.
Thank you, Teresa. Thank you. Thank you.
You can see it all.
No, good. Good. It's the nice thing about reading read a story, isn't it? The pictures are better, aren't they? It's like radio. Yeah.
It's like you're weaving a thread and you can follow it. kind of, as you're telling the tale, the threads all kind of interlink with one another, and you can kind of, it makes it to visualize the picture kind of thing that you're describing.
Oh, thank you, Jackie. I do try and write in that way, and hopefully you'll see those threads kind of going through from the previous books and into this one. So I'm glad you spot it. That's nice to hear. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Can I just say that you write, it's very human, easy to follow, and yeah, I can get a good picture when I'm reading your work and listening to it as well.
Thank you, Paul.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a lot of it's drawn on either personal experience or professional experience. So things that I've experienced in my own life or seen in other people. And so particularly in the first book, actually, there's not a lot in the first book. So that's this one, looking to move on. There's not a lot in there that is made up. You know, it's stuff that I've kind of have witnessed or experienced. And there's bits of that in the other two as well. But thank you.
Yeah, there's real authenticity about it, Richard. I noticed that you write in short paragraphs. There's one that tends to write in long paragraphs. I admire that, and it gives pace. And you know, I've only read about 3 or 4 chapters so far because I received the book yesterday. But it's a very sensitive portrayal, very realistic portrayal of family life. Their vulnerabilities and their vernacular, and I think you've adopted that from your professional background and other strands as well, and it makes it all very expressive. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much. It's very nice to have comments. Thank you.
The deepest silence held as I walked to the grave. I had no more to give to him who always gave. Too late I found the words I know I should have said. And now that he was gone, I knew that love was dead. The trees I passed were bare, a memory of leaves. I saw with my mind's eye my Lord between 2 thieves. But then the rocks and stones all seemed to hold their breath, as if they knew that life had broken free from death. What do you seek? He is not here. Come see the place where Christ has cast out fear. The world you knew has passed away. Rise up and claim this resurrection day. Outside of earthly time, I sense this garden stood, as if a living shoot had grown from winter's wood. I only came to mourn, to tend this fallen bloom, but found new signs of life inside an empty tomb. What do you seek? He is not here. Come see the place where Christ has cast out fear. The world you knew has passed away. Rise up and claim this resurrection day. I cannot hope to grasp what lies beyond scent of unseen flowers seem to linger there. What do you seek? He is not here. Come see the place where Christ has cast out fear. The world you knew has passed away. Rise up and claim this resurrection day. Then from the grave I walked, and in the morning sun I found new hope in him, and all his pain had won. I saw a world still touched by early morning dew. With heaven in my eyes I say these words to you. What do you seek? He is not here. Come see the place where Christ has cast out fear. The world you knew has passed away. Rise up and claim this resurrection day. Rise up and claim this resurrection day.
Hannah, Nick Axford, Matt Robinson, thank you very much for coming on.
If you'd like to go on our mailing list and get a copy of the video which is going out on YouTube next Friday, we are axford.robinson@gmail.com.
Well, thank you again for coming along. Obviously, I've got copies of all my books, both the fiction ones and non-fiction faith books that are waiting there for you to buy them. And there are some special offers too as well. Buy all 3 Eastwood Story books at the price of 2 if you wish. And I can take card and cheque and cash and IOUs and everything else. You'll see on the cover of the new book a picture of a small town in the countryside. There's a rainbow on it. And this book is dedicated to people who trace the rainbow through the rain of people's lives. So helping others to have some hope and some expectation that life is and could be worthwhile.